This week on BCC The Other Side, we recap and review the 1977 Bigfoot movie, Return to Boggy Creek, a sequel that's not a sequel. Whip up a catfish cocktail and listen at patreon.com/BigfootCollectorsClub.
It's Bigfoot Collectors Club with Bryce and Michael. I know a ghost story or two. Let's do this.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Bigfoot Collectors Club, the show where we talk to amazing guests about their personal paranormal history and share stories of high strangeness. I'm your host, Michael McMillan. With me always is your other host,
Bryce Johnson.
And our super producer,
Riley Bray.
And right up top, I have a correction. This show is called Bigfoot Collectors Club, not the Bigfoot Collectors Club.
Oh, yeah.
A little pet peeve of mine, and then I did it right out of the gate.
Not good.
You take a couple weeks off, and then you don't know where you are. Boys, how are you?
Good.
Yeah, doing good.
Excellent.
Shot outdoor in Hollywood today, which was a horrible mistake, and it was just all motorcycles and ambulances.
That's why they built those sound stages back in the 20s.
We thought we would be fancy, and it's just, these things happen.
Did you get to at least wear like sunglasses and look cool, like really Hollywood?
Yeah, and just cross my arms and kind of stare at people.
Yeah, and like listen to a subtle beat and tap your toe in like white sneakers.
Pretty much. That pretty much describes my daily life.
That's your daily vibe down at Hollywood and Vine, right?
Exactly.
Well, we've got two guests for you today. It's a big show, so we want to get to them. But before we do, guys, some algorithms are bad. Some algorithms are trying to destroy our reality, but then there are other algorithms that are good.
Yeah.
Like the algorithm that you participate in when you give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and get this show to more people. So do us a favor, give us a 5-star review. If you do, we might read it on the air, just like this one from Lil Cassie. LLL. She says, kisses, 5 stars. Can't get enough of this podcast. I listen to it every chance I get. Glad I became a patron because there's never ending content. No, seriously, I can't catch up. Laughy face. Love you guys. Also hoping for a season 3 of Expedition Bigfoot. Cassie.
Nice.
Well,
thanks, Cassie.
What a review.
What a review and what a plug for our Patreon, The Other Side. Of course, you can subscribe to The Other Side at patreon.com/BigfootCollectorsClub. All right. Thank you, Cassie. Bryce, why don't you tell us who's on the show tonight?
Yeah, let's do it. So our first guest has appeared in television shows such as Will and Grace, Curb Your Enthusiasm, and Clipped. And most recently is the lovable Lowell in CBS sitcom Man with a Plan. Please welcome to the show, Matt Cook.
Hi.
What's up, Matt?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Dude, our pleasure. Why don't I bring in our second guest who has appeared in films, Downsizing and Whiplash, as well as television shows Clipped and Hot in Cleveland. Please welcome to the show, CJ Vana. What's up, CJ?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Welcome, boys.
Right.
CJ, you were on Hot in Cleveland? I was on Hot in Cleveland, but I
was
come
on
on,
Hot in
it
Cleveland.
together.
Were we? I don't know. It was a long time ago. Which
It was a
episode
long
were you
time
on?
ago. I don't know. I was in a few of them. I played Jane Leaves's long lost son.
Oh, of course.
I'd show up every now and
Yeah.
then. I love that you said that. Like yes, I watched every episode.
He really does his homework.
The DVDs.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's like above and beyond homework. Now it's like maybe if I do a show, I won't even watch it. Now I can't take it anymore. I used to like throw parties. Hey, I'm on TV tonight, and now it's like, please don't watch this.
Yeah, I don't think I've watched anything since like 2011.
And I've never seen any TV. I don't believe in it, and I don't like it.
You don't condone it?
Are you guys the type of actors that when you go into an audition back when we could go into audition rooms where you'd be like, Yeah, I don't own a TV. Sorry, I've never seen this show. Like, there used to be like those kind of actors who are like, yeah, man, I don't even have cable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never understood that.
I had a friend of mine who wanted to be a producer, and when you asked him what he liked, he would say, I don't watch television. Just like that.
Ooh.
It's a rough thing to hear.
Yeah, I'm in music management. Haven't heard a song.
Right.
I just want to bring something original to the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been watching so much stuff over the last year, and I've been framing it as like research. Like I'm trying to make myself feel better about the amount of time I've spent on my couch. And I'm like, oh, this is for my career. I need to watch one more movie tonight because it'll make me a better actor. And then I wake up all red-eyed and puffy-faced, and I got to get on a Zoom audition. And I'm like, hi, thanks for having me.
Oh my God. Are you doing that? You guys are doing a lot of Zoom auditions, I take it then.
I've had a few
Well,
live.
Matt's offer only, I think. Is that?
Yeah, but it's all coupons.
I
I'll
thought
take
that's
what I
what
can
that
get
meant.
at
I've
this
been
point.
telling people I'm offer only.
Oh, yeah. That's what it means. I've done a few live ones, and then I do self-tapes mostly, which are my nightmare.
Yeah.
Because I don't like being in charge of it. I don't like having to figure out if that's the right shot. I like the adrenaline of going in and having one shot and then getting to leave.
I could not agree more.
Really?
Yeah, I need it.
I would agree. I feel like there's an energy that like it's like jump in the net will catch you type of shit. Whereas like, so when I actually go into a live room, I feel like, okay, all or nothing. But if it's a self tape, I'm like, I'm overcorrecting, I'm overthinking. And it's just like, it's kind of torturous.
Yeah,
it is absolutely. It takes so much. People are like, oh, I don't want to drive to Santa Monica. I'm like, well, an hour there, an hour back, 20 minutes at the office. A self tape is all day. Then I do it, tape it later. I watch it and I tape it again that night. Like, that was horrible this morning.
I'm a little different. I like to wheel out in an old-fashioned peddler's wagon, hang up some gas lights, and perform a soliloquy. And I mean, I got to tell you guys, it hasn't been that way for a long time.
It's good. You got to go back to the basics sometimes.
I've heard stories about you.
Well, you'll see me down next to a very tall man wearing sunglasses and tapping his white sneakers on Hollywood and Vine. Basically, Riley and I have just become the weirdos who hang out on Hollywood Boulevard now.
It's a good gig.
Yeah,
it's all right.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
You know, you can
Tips
just
good.
grab someone and get paid $5 for taking a selfie with them. It's great.
There's nothing better.
Yeah.
And now with Venmo, oh my God.
Matt,
No more that I don't have cash.
Matt and CJ, how do you guys know each other? How did this come about? Why are you here together tonight? Because I've been told that you might have some shared personal paranormal history.
Yeah. I mean, like I said before, I think we started, I was obviously brought in to keep it, flowing. No weird silence and stuff.
Well,
But,
I was going to say, I know Matt because Don did his makeup on Clipped as well as Man with a Plan, and CJ. We talked before the show. She knows you too from Clipped.
That's right. Although I did not require makeup, so we didn't see much of each other.
Right. And we actually, it's funny. We got a message on our Instagram from a guy who produced Film Fest, which is a movie that you guys starred in. He's a big fan of the podcast, Edwin Stevens. Shout out to you, Edwin.
Ed.
And yeah, so Dawn was like, I don't know. She was like, Matt and CJ they saw some weird ghost or something. You should have them on your podcast. I was like, fucking great. I've been looking for a chance. It's perfect. So the stars aligned,
Yeah. It's been, I panicked and I wrote Dawn. I was like, look, I don't know how much of it was supernatural and how much of it was two idiots in a cabin, but it felt bad. And I don't want to ruin your husband's podcast. So please know that that's important to me.
Look, I'll put it this way.
We're here anyway.
I didn't believe in ghosts, and now I do. Like, I went there.
Oh, wow.
And now I do. So,
well,
let's
start
something.
there. Let's start at both of your starting points, okay? How about that? We'll build to what happened between two men in a cabin.
Great.
So, CJ, you said you didn't believe in ghosts. Where did you grow up? Were you into horror movies? Were you into UFOs, Bigfoot, any of this stuff before your what you encountered?
Very, very into UFOs. Not at all into horror movies. Not because I don't like them, but because I am too scared. And I remember growing up, the girl I had a crush on loved horror movies, so I would go to see them because I had to, and I was traumatized. And Matt's going, yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
All of that tracks.
Mm-hmm.
I was too scared to watch them until college, for sure. Like I was a late bloomer when it came to two things: my virginity and horror movies. So I'm right there.
I'm
with
still
you.
working on the virginity, but the horror movies I can take now.
But UFOs were a big thing for you.
UFOs just seemed like something to me that was probably true. It never even felt paranormal to me. It just felt like, of course, there's a lot of planets. There are probably other people. So that was just a no-brainer. And then recently, I'm trying to write a pilot with my writing partner, an alien comedy.
Oh, wow.
So I've been watching, I don't know, if you go on Amazon Prime specifically,
Yes.
Oh yeah.
you can find not the mainstream UFO docs, but the kind that if you watch 2 or 3 of them, you start getting recommendations for, like, I think maybe, would you like this thing about QAnon? Like, you start getting stuff like those are the ones I've been watching lately.
Yeah, Amazon Prime has an endless stream of incredible cryptid UFO
It's
ghosts.
unbelievable.
There's like one that keeps popping up that it's like, this guy saw like a flying alien gray, and then now he's made of static in the sequel. I'm like, I don't know what this is. I'm afraid of it. Maybe it's awesome, but like both of them came out in 2020. So how is this guy turning out this content so quickly? I'm scared. What's happening? There's a lot of like, where are we? What rabbit hole exactly? Yeah. It's like, what rabbit hole are we about to go down here?
This one was not even on Amazon Prime, but my favorite thing I've seen in years has been The Curse of the Man Who Sees UFOs on Netflix.
Oh yeah, that's a great.
Fantastic.
That's a great
good.
doc.
And about more than just UFOs. It's kind of about, the guy. Oh man, that's great.
Yeah, well, we've often made a pretty good connection with it's more about these stories of the people who experience these things, because there's a connection as to why it happens to certain people and why certain people see so many of those things. Like if I remember that documentary, that guy saw him all the time, right? Like
all the time.
Is that the same guy that could summon them over by the water? Okay,
that's what he thought was happening.
Right,
he could summon.
Yeah,
he thinks he can summon. He thinks he's summoning.
Yeah,
look, I'm going to be honest.
A
good number of them were planes.
No, wait, not Marina Del Rey. It was up in Santa Cruz.
It was Monterey. Yeah,
Monterey.
Yeah.
Right.
And then
there's this idea that people can actually, summon UFOs, and there's even like this one guy. His name is Stephen Greer. He has a protocol called the CE5 protocol of how to like zero in a UFO to your location, and he takes people on these retreats, and he's had some pretty good, pretty good luck with it. But I don't know. But there's it's interesting.
I've watched a lot. I watched his newest one about that. I think that was probably an Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
I think that's Netflix, because my aunt got real excited after she watched it, and I just had to go, just calm. Please be careful. Just please be careful, my dear, sweet suburban aunt. Where we're gonna go with this?
Well, I just saw sorry. Go ahead.
You go ahead.
I just saw a headline on one of the social media platforms that is like some incredibly brilliant person. All I read was the headline because that's how I get my information. But it was some like astrophysicist, some brilliant person was like, reaching out to aliens is an incredibly dangerous idea.
Yeah, Michio Kaku. Michio Kaku said this.
He said it too?
Right.
Yeah.
That makes me more nervous because he seems very positive.
Scares me so badly. It's so crazy.
Well, that's that whole oh God, who was the astrophysicist? Stephen
Hawking.
Yeah, Stephen Hawking. So his whole take on aliens and the UFO phenomenon was like, basically, if they do exist, you should be careful what you're wishing for, because as we've learned throughout history and society, when somebody comes upon a lower technological species, it does not fare well for the people who are being visited. That was always his take.
There's a great comic book called Letter 44.
Here we go.
And I don't know if you guys have read it, but it's fantastic. And
wait, sorry, which comic book was it? I was looking up this article.
Letter 44.
I haven't read that one.
It's terrific. It's on if you have like Comixology unlimited. It's free, the first 3 volumes, but it's basically the transition of power from the 44th president to the 45th.
Oh yeah,
and
sure.
The 44th leaves a letter on the desk, and it says, I know we've never agreed. I know everything I've done over the last 8 years you've disagreed with and you've hated, but everything I did was for this reason. 9 years ago, our scientists made contact with an unknown object that was heading towards our solar system. And every expert has agreed that the only thing we have in this solar system that they would be coming for, any minerals they could get anywhere else. That's definitely closer to their home planet. The only thing we have that is unique is us.
Yes.
This is going to be bad.
Human
so everything
blood.
I've done was to get ready for this. Good luck. I'm going to go live on my ranch. You'll never see me again. And that's it. And that's how the thing starts. And it was like, ooh, it's great.
That's amazing. So that was Dwight Eisenhower to Truman then, right?
No, 44 to 45th, buddy.
How does that work? Oh, God, right. Oh, sorry.
It's just made up. It's just made.
They're just made up characters. They're made up characters.
But the aliens are real.
Right. That's yes. Thank you.
Yeah. So Kaku basically echoes what Hawking said. I've pulled up the article here. This is on. You can find it in numerous places. I will put it in a link in the show notes. This is sort of a backdoor BCC news. But he says, there are some colleagues of mine that believe we should reach out to them, meaning aliens. I think that's a terrible idea, Kaku said. We all know what happened to Montezuma when he met Cortez in Mexico so many hundreds of years ago. Kaku went on to state his personal belief that humanity might encounter would be benign. But nonetheless, he urges caution, which, whether you're an eminent scientist or someone who's watched a lot of science fiction movies, seems like a prudent measure. This is from a website I've never heard of before called Inside Hook. So I think it's a
that
Dustin
sounds
Hoffman.
as legit as anything else.
Sounds like a Dustin Hoffman fan website. But I'll put the link there, or you can just Google it.
I hate
what do
to
you guys
agree.
think about that? Yeah.
I mean, I hate to rather disagree with Hawking. And here's the thing: I did a couple weeks of community college, so I think I can get on their level a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, please.
Qualified.
If they're smart enough to get here, we're not going to be the difference on whether or not they know we're here. You know what I mean? There's not going to be a radio signal where they go, "Oh, we didn't see him." You know, like I don't think there's anything we can do or say that's going to be one. If they're looking for us, they're going to find us.
Agreed. I mean, it already seems like, as all these reports are coming out and the government's acknowledge of these things in existence, or UAPs as they now call them. But, it sounds like these things are already here. And if they were dangerous, they probably already would have, unloaded their arsenal on us. But
Absolutely.
that hasn't happened. All they're doing is sort of
I also
secretly
think, and maybe
abducting.
this is naive, and I feel like this has come up in science fiction where, and it's come up in the whole in the simulation theory stuff, where it's like if a civilization advances long enough to achieve interstellar travel, I feel like they have to have evolved past like tribal warfare, I hope. You know what I mean? Like if they didn't destroy themselves, then it seems like they're unlikely to fly out and destroy another planet. Now, maybe that's naive, because maybe this is like, maybe that planet reached a singularity and these are all robots and they don't care about biological life. Or maybe they're the one evil army that destroyed everybody else on their planet and now they're taking out to the universe. But I just feel like in order for a civilization to get to the point where they can actually travel to other planets and be as smart as that, they have to survive as a species, which means they have to overcome, their own planetary disasters.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
That's what gives me hope.
And, at the same time, let's say they are out to kill us. It would be a kind of fun generation to be a part of, the one that gets destroyed by aliens.
Like we haven't lived through enough, CJ. I don't.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if
it
you're going
easy.
to be alive on the planet, that's a pretty interesting time to be alive. It's a good way to go out. We're all going out one way or another. You want to go out Independence Day style, or do you want to just go out, in some nursing home?
Yeah, no, that would be kind of fun.
Do you want to go out in a giant Spielbergian IMAX film, or do you want to go out in a Steven Soderbergh indie? Come on, guys.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a good question.
Matt, what about you growing up? Ghosts, UFOs, any of the stuff ever capture your imagination?
Yeah, I was always into the idea of UFOs and aliens and intelligent life, but the idea of them coming here scared me. I was always terrified of ghosts. I watched a movie when I was really little called Darby O'Gill and the Little People.
We just talked about this a few weeks ago.
Did you really?
The Banshee. Oh, my God.
The Banshee still makes me sweat.
Wow.
It scared me so badly as a kid that it still haunts me.
And not to mention the little people, the little leprechauns are also a little unnerving because they're just playing tricks on all the humans.
Yeah, they're mean. They're all mean. And my family's like so Irish. Like they all look like the leprechauns. So I'm like, this will be fun. And then it's just an old man who suffered a terrible trauma, who's heartbroken and worried about his daughter dying. And Sean Connery walking around looking handsome. And then nasty little leprechauns hurting people and abusing them emotionally. And then every so often that terrible sound comes and that awful visual effect Banshee comes over the hills, over the moors with those dark skies. And and the old man starts screaming, "No, kids, no!" And he's so scared that as a kid I was like, the Banshee's going to take everyone I love too. And then it was, all downhill from there.
Don't leave out the phantom coachman who takes him away after he dies.
I was trying to. It's so scary. It's so scary.
It's also played with that heavy-handed, like Walt Disney's still alive and really wants to punish children and scare them as much as he wants to make them witness dear mothers die. It's all that one big level of drama. It's like the Walt Disney scariness, I feel like, matched the level of like sweetness and cuteness. It was all just a 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no nuance.
For sure. He had to have a dark side that balanced out all that, little cute and cuddly creatures for sure.
Yeah, that was the flip side of it. And that was one of 3 movies that really traumatized my brother and I. And it was that and Mac and Me. Which is terrible, which I recently showed to friends at the Groundlings because we would do movie nights when we were doing shows. Everybody would hang out, and it was one person a week would show a movie from their childhood, and I got to show that, and that's really traumatic. Like at the end of it, the aliens are, I don't want to do spoilers, but it's really violent, and the entire movie is a little baby alien just getting hurt. Like he gets electrocuted, he gets hit by cars, he gets chased by dogs. Like it's so violent. And my mom would rent these movies that was like, oh, this is Leprechauns. Oh, this is like E.T. Oh, this is a little dog. Like we got Frankenweenie was the other one. And in the first 10 minutes, the dog gets hit by a car. And you're just like, gee, my brother and I are like 5. It was awful. So I have all of those that have fueled my fear and anxiety with all of this stuff.
Yeah, I feel like at some point the people who
Can we
made
take that
kids...
back, Matt, and do it without the voice crack? Just go back like 10 seconds.
Son of a bitch. I can't. I started seizing up because the Banshee is still outside.
So real.
An emotional thing to talk about, that your own trauma, it's coming out. It's fine.
It's too much.
I just feel like at some point they went, people who made kids movies were like, yeah, why don't we make it fun? Like SpongeBob and Minions. Why are we trying to make these kids cry all the time? Why are we giving them nightmares? I wouldn't be able to watch the Smurfs because like there was always like a rabbit getting caught in a river that they would have to save. It was just this high anxiety stuff from like, I don't want to worry if the rabbit's going to die.
That's so true. And the entire Smurf society, each episode is trying to avoid being exterminated by a crazy person.
And along those lines, I rewatched for the first time the pilot of Dinosaurs.
Oh,
that's on like Disney
forever.
Plus or something now.
Yeah. Right.
That show makes me so sad. It's so scary the whole time. It's like dinosaurs eating other dinosaurs. The news is always like meteors headed this way. Like it just is all about death. And then meanwhile, there's these giant puppets everywhere. It's the same thing of just like there's some dark stuff here, man.
Do they have the "I'm the Baby Gotta Love Me" music video on that? Because that would be worth watching.
I didn't get that far. I watched the pilot and I was like, I can't do this.
The Baby had a music video that went, "I'm the baby, gotta love me," and it was like in the era of like Bartman, do the Bartman.
Yeah. I remember that. I just didn't see it in that one. But I remember, because I watched all of them, and it would always make me sad. But the baby was funny, because the baby would hit the adults, and you'd be like, yeah. And that would keep me around. But then the mother would be murdering other animals in the kitchen for breakfast.
Well, I also feel like, too, like dinosaurs. We're getting off on a tangent here, guys, but bear with us. Dinosaurs
Well,
are
dinosaurs for those
weren't real.
Are real.
Dinosaurs are like ghosts now. They're all dead. But I also feel like dinosaurs had the same color palette as Roseanne. Which was about a struggling lower, lower,
and Roseanne
upper, lower,
played one of the
class
dinosaurs,
family.
I think, too.
Yeah,
Didn't
and
she?
it was always just like, I think you're right. It was just very depressing, and then that all built into the most depressing dinosaur movie of all time, which of course was Dinosaur, also by Disney. So that one's just about dinosaurs walking to their death. So
Yeah.
So where did you guys? How did you two get together in a cabin and have something weird happen to you?
So we met doing that show Clipped forever ago. We became good friends, and then two of our friends wrote a movie that they cast us in, and 2 of the weeks shot up in Idlewild. And because CJ and I have been friends for so long, they put us in an Airbnb together. And CJ went up, I think, the day before I was supposed to be there, and when I got there, he was working. And I was like, I checked in with everybody. I was like, all right, I'll go check out our new Airbnb because that's where we're going to be staying. And so I went there first by myself, and I developed just a plan to be like, oh, I'm going to try to, tell CJ it's awful. And then when I walked in, and it looked like a cute mountain cabin, but it felt weird. Like when you walk in and you're like, the air is hitting you, And again, I'm chicken. I get scared of everything. But it was daytime. It was nice. Like the sun was like starting to go down. And I was like, okay. And I walked in and I was like, well, this is the most quiet place I've ever been in. That's bizarre. And the air is heavy. And I was like, all right, let me just look around. And I started to look around. I was like, this place is a little weird. And then so I texted CJ. I was like, this place, it's a little weird. And he's like, oh, geez, God, what does that mean? What are we going to do? Oh, no, who do I gotta talk to? Oh, God. And he started to freak out.
I did. Well, you have to understand that Matt, I was bracing for, Matt likes pranks. He likes to prank people. I know this. I haven't been the victim of most of them. I think he knows it could kill me. But nevertheless, I'd heard all these stories about the way, he pranked his own family to the point of, true, like, I mean, maybe these are stories for another day, but like truly disturbed members of his own family.
I think we should flash back here and hear one of these stories.
Just real quick. Yeah, because that's a pretty heavy thing to say and then ignore that I traumatized my family.
Yeah. Now where he's going to prank our podcast.
I said with pranks.
With pranks.
People
so I found
love
this
pranks
thing.
these
I found
days.
this thing on Amazon called Scary Peeper. And it's a
This is the one I was hoping you would tell.
It's a hooded man who taps on windows.
Oh, like a real person.
It's the face of a real person. It's like a plastic mask. And you suction cup it to a window, and then there's a little motion sensor. And he's got one hand on his side of his face, like he's looking in the window. And the other
What's it called?
It's Scary Peeper. And you'll see there's a couple variants, right? But the one looks like just a man with a hood up. And there's a motion sensor.
Everybody, if you can, Google this. It is frightening.
And there's a video. One of the reviews has a video, and that's what sold me. So every summer, my family gets together, and we have a little like lake retreat somewhere just to all get in touch, because they're all on the East Coast, and some of us are out here. And so I found Scary Peeper, and I was like, I'm taking this to the lake this summer. And I did. And I waited all week. And I kept saying things like, I don't know, that neighbor keeps walking like close to this. I just like set the groundwork.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
And then one of the last nights, there was this big window that looked out on the lake. It was super dark. And there was a little bench right outside the window. And so while people were like getting ready for dinner, I went and stuck the scary peeper on the window, and I just waited. And I set it on the time delay. So you can have a motion sensor setting or a time delay. And every 10 seconds it goes, and it's got a little metal tip on its finger. And the finger's this like long, scary finger. And it taps on the window. And it looks like he's looking in and smiling. And because it's really cheap plastic, there's kind of like a sheen.
Yeah, it's creepy.
So it looks greasy, and his eyes look a little like they got a little like light in them, And so I just waited.
Yeah,
he does look sweaty. He looks like he shouldn't be there.
Yeah. So for our listeners, this is like almost like a Halloween mask with a hand sort of up against its face, all molded latex, obviously, as if it's peering into the window, and then the other hand, like Matt described, holding up with a little tap, and he's got a black hoodie on.
Yeah, he's menacing
and black
It's
sleeves in
terrifying.
his shirt. He looks like almost like Igor from Frankenstein.
Yes, exactly. And it's only $30 or something like that. It's one of my favorite things I ever bought in my life. So I set it and I let it go, and I just wait. And I wait for like 2 hours. And the point my Uncle Bees goes and sits in front of the window, and he's reading a newspaper. And every 10 seconds, this thing's tapping behind his head. And from time to time, he'd just look up and be like, huh? But he would look at us, and I'd be like, oh, he doesn't see it.
Right.
And then it went so long that people started going to bed.
Oh.
And I was like, well, I can't. I waited so long for Scary Peeper. I'm going to have to tip my hand a little.
Yeah.
And then finally I was like, who's that? And then my family instantly went, shut up, because they thought I was messing with them. And I go, no, seriously, who is that? And I point at the window, and he goes, chick, chick, chick. And they go, oh my God, who's that? Get out! And then all hell broke loose. And they thought it was my uncle, and my uncle's upstairs. He's like, what are you talking about? And everybody else is like, he's upstairs. And then everyone went berserk. And my grandma was asleep in the upstairs room over the little balcony. And my Aunt Patty went and got a bucket and started filling up water in the tub, and then trying to throw water down on what she thought was a pervert outside.
Show him.
And it
I'll
was
throw him off.
it was chaos for 15 minutes. And luckily, I was laughing so hard I started to cry, but in the chaos, people just thought I was scared. And it just went, and then finally it just hit the pattern enough times that they were like, what the hell is that? And then they went and saw it. And now everyone has me, like, anytime I go home, they're like watching me every single thing that I do.
Checking your bags as you enter the house.
Hey, you got a scary peeper this year? I mean, scary peeper. Stupid scary
Like that's your
peeper.
new name. Why don't you ask
exactly.
Mr. Scary Peepers over there?
Yeah.
Also, I can't let the fact that you have an uncle named Uncle Bees, slip
Uncle
by.
Bees. Yeah, Beasley is his last name, but he all of his buddies call him
Uncle
Beezer.
Bees.
So we call him Uncle Bees.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Pretty cool,
your family
right?
sounds like
Well,
the
that's the
opposite of the
cool logo.
dinosaur family. They sound fun.
They are. They're very fun, and there's a lot of bright colors. It's nice.
Okay, good. No one's wearing a depressing palette.
Yeah.
So I knew about this story
Exactly.
before I agreed to stay with Matt, and I don't like pranks. I don't do pranks. If people prank me, I just go, we're not friends, and they think I'm kidding, and we're not. That's really happened. A couple of people pranked me in high school. I go, nah, that's it. Haven't talked to them since. It's a real story. Sounds like I'm joking. So I was kind of prepared for Matt to, like, on some level, mess with me, and I knew I wouldn't take it well. So right away, I'm like, okay, well, he's priming me for this by being like, it's kind of weird here. So I expect to go to this, like, beautiful, perfect place. And it's not like I get there and I go, everything he said, like, it's creepy. And it's just far enough, Idlewyld's very small downtown, 5 places. And if you stay right around there, it feels, not so isolated. If you go, just far enough, you're like, oh, we're out there. And this was just far enough to me, where I was like, no one, like, if we did yell for help, no one's coming, So this house feels, and again, I was still daylight when I got there, right? Didn't I get there? It was still.
Yeah, the sun was setting.
It was setting, so it wasn't like, but yeah, I walk in and I'm bracing for Matt to be messing with me. But you looked scared to me in a way that I go, you're a good actor, but that looks real.
It was. And it was because I'd spent time trying to figure out what the layout of the house was. And I found an upstairs loft that, like, at first glance looked beautiful. And then there was just one big bed with like an ornate quilt on it. And then on either side of the bed where the walls are were
like
just
A-frame style. So they go down.
It's this beautiful, like, you know, A-frame roof. It's like a raised ceiling. But then there's all these little closets along the bottom.
I mean, not more than
of
3 feet tall.
Yeah.
And so this goes with kind of the rest of the vibe. So even before we get up there, I had this is not a typical Airbnb where they go, you know, the house is yours. There are a lot of areas that are clearly marked with signs that say do not open, don't enter, don't go in here. A lot of padlocks, garages off limits. A sign said garage off limits. A sign said shed off limits, all this shit. And I go, well, that's where everybody is. That's where all the people are chained up. That's what I assume.
Obviously.
And that's instantly what I'm doing too. So we're both slowly vibrating at higher and higher frequencies of freak
And the
out.
sun's going down now.
Yes.
I mean, it's so but these little they're like wicker, like pull, you know, you pull the knob and they kind of accordion style fold, but they're all, each one is locked, little padlocks.
Yeah.
And I kind of take my phone light and look in there, you know, just through the top, and like you can sort of see they're like shutter style. And all you see behind these is white sheets covering shapes, different shape. But some maybe look like boxes.
Wait, that was in the garage.
No, we didn't look in the garage.
We looked through the window of the garage and saw that stuff.
I know, yeah.
In the little closets, those were completely empty except for one of them at the very end. Remember? We opened them up and you couldn't even shine a light in it. It was so dark. It was empty, and we had to look down at the very end of it. There was something covered in a cloth.
That's right.
And they weren't even big enough to make. You couldn't even keep anything in there.
No.
Like, it didn't make any sense. I was like, these are the tunnels. This is the tunnels that they crawl through.
Right.
Yeah, you guys are for sure in a Guillermo del Toro movie, obviously.
Right. Yes. And keep in mind, this is like this is nothing. This is just how we get introduced to the house.
Yeah. So we slowly, and I'm like, I don't want to sleep up here. CJ, you can actually, this is a beautiful ceiling. You should sleep up here. He's like, I'm not sleeping up here.
Nice. You would like this.
And this is a loft with no door. So downstairs is a bedroom across from the bathroom. And Matt's like, I'm not sleeping in here. I'm going to go in the bedroom. And then he goes into what was going to be his bedroom, only to find
it's a. I went and I looked under the bed to be like, what horror is under here? And it was all heavy machinery.
It's a hospice bed. It was a hospice bed.
Oh God.
And I'm scared of everything. And I was like, okay, so this is a deathbed. This is a deathbed.
Right.
And the reason it's so quiet in here is because someone died in here. And
this is a house
they're
of
not
death.
thrilled. It's a house of death. It's a house of death and tunnels and sheets from hell. And it was like, there was nothing we could do because nobody wanted to sleep upstairs with the
neither of us would sleep
tiny
upstairs.
closets.
I thought we were going to end up sleeping in the same bed. I came so close.
I tried.
I wound up deciding, I'm just going to sleep on the couch, and Matt was going to sleep in this hospice bed with the door open. That was the best we could do, because we were also like, well, we can't move. We have to work at like 6 a.m. the next day. You know, it's like, this is it now. We can't call and say, I can't stay here. I'm scared. Like, which we did discuss. I said, let's make something up. Let's say the plumbing doesn't work. What do we care? You know, I say the plumbing doesn't work. We got to go somewhere else. Like, they'll refund them, you know. And this was before anything truly weird even happened. That's how freaked out I was just from the feel of it.
So the night kind of goes on. We go out. We like meet friends at a restaurant to like get dinner. And we're like, yeah, our place is really weird. And everybody else is like, our place is lovely. And we're like, you bastards.
Also, we were given a choice between two different places. And I guess I was reminded later that we picked this on a picture.
Right.
So in a way, we brought it on ourselves. But, you know.
Yes.
I mean, we didn't know.
Did you guys pick it, or were you pulled by an unseeable force?
Well, honestly, dude, I'm starting to think that the technical difficulties that we briefly experienced before recording this now is the fucking demon.
Oh,
I don't know if I can curse on this, but
the
demon trying to stop us from telling its story.
You are not welcome on this podcast.
No,
you must
get
go.
out of the electricity. Get out of there. Is it in there? Now I'm seeing.
We've had enough computer demon problems. Honestly, we don't need another
already
one.
I'm getting really scared talking about. This is what I knew was going to happen. I knew I'd start talking about it. I'd start remembering some of the stuff.
So we went out. We met up with friends. Everybody else was like, our place is awesome. You guys sucks to be you. And then we went back to our little cabin.
And I was going to do it. I decided I got to do a load of laundry because I brought some laundry to do. I was like, they have a washer and dryer. I'm going to do, I don't bring a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Of
CJ showed up to our 2-week stay in Idlewild with a bag of dirty laundry.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It said they had a washer and dryer.
Go.
And in my building, I have to put quarters in there. So if I can save 10, 12 quarters.
He's like, Matt, I came here to get some stuff done. Okay.
Yeah.
I got a few projects in mind. I'm just going to tackle a couple of on my to-do list. Don't worry.
Yep. The gig is secondary.
I throw a load of laundry in, and I go to put the wash into the dryer, and this was like I like to bring. I don't like to use the towels at Airbnb and washcloths. I got some issues. That doesn't matter. I bring my own. So I take I take the laundry out of the dryer and put it in the washer, and I turn around, and on the wall behind me in the laundry room, which is a fairly sized laundry room, one of my washcloths, dirty washcloths, is stuck to the wall. Like as if pasted on the wall.
That's
and
creepy.
It's across the room. So I'm like, Matt, come on. And he's like, I'm not touching your disgusting, dirty underwear.
He was adamant. He's like, I know you stuck my washcloth to the wall. And I was like, you haven't met me? I'm not touching your dirty laundry. Like,
part of me still thinks that it could have been you, but it doesn't matter.
You're
the point
I
is
pack my props. I pack.
Although I will say, I
bring
didn't
my own gear.
I didn't see you get off the couch and go in that laundry room, so it's possibly. So anyway, I just threw that washcloth away. I know.
You threw it away.
Of course I threw it away.
That ghost on it. Yeah, it's gross.
So I throw it on the dryer, turn the dryer on. Within a second, the room is full of smoke. The dryer is just fogging up the house. The entire house. I had to turn it off. It's not. There is no vent in the dryer.
So all of a sudden, there's just like hot steam.
So now, now it's dark,
happening?
Steamy, scary. And somebody went to take a shower first. I think it was. The point is,
you guys are hitting all the wrong moves. I'm going to do laundry, and then after this, one of us will go in the shower.
It sounds like the way scary movies start.
And then I'm going to go down for a late night snack.
Maybe a dip in the lake.
Right. A quick dip in the lake.
And see, this is what happened. This is why you should watch scary movies, because I don't watch them, so now I don't know all the wrong things to do to get murdered.
Yeah.
So the pipe, you turn on the shower, and I'm gonna back up from the mic so I can tell you what the pipes in this home sound like. They sound like this. Ready? Okay, that's my best impression. I'm sure that clipped, and I'm sure you can't use it, but
that's usable. Absolutely,
it's horrific, and it doesn't sound like, oh, those are leaky pipes. It sounds like there are people trapped in the pipes screaming for help. That's what it sounds like.
The pipes are actually drawing fluid from the people locked in those closets.
And of course, the shower's not draining right. It's coming back up. It's like, it's like something out of The Grudge. It's horrific.
It was awful.
So now it's dark. It's foggy. The pipes are screaming. And we're like, we're going to have some beers because we're freaking out.
Yeah.
At this point am pretty sure, I'm like, all right, there's a weird feeling. There's weird closets locked up with this, who knows what's in there. There's a shed full of shit. My washcloth walked out of the dryer on its own. Either there's a ghost or Matt is a fucking evil genius and has somehow managed to prank me without ever getting up off the couch.
I wish.
And I was like unpacking some of the food. We got food for the week and we're just putting in the fridge and stuff. And I'm trying desperately not to have a panic attack. And I'm going, okay, listen, ghosts aren't real. Even if they were, so what? A ghost, what can they do? They can't do anything to you. And Matt goes, well, they can, sometimes they can manipulate the physical world. Says something to that effect. And I was like, come on, it's bullshit, right?
Sure.
And there's a grocery bag. And it's on the kitchen counter. Matt's on the couch. I'm standing in the kitchen. And as I say they can't do anything, and he says they can manipulate the physical world, this bag lifts up off the counter, floats across the room, and lands on my feet.
What?
Like 8 feet. So now I'm like, all right.
Wait a minute. Wait.
Truly.
Now I'm not a little scared. I start packing my shit.
And we turned off the dryer because it was killing us,
right?
Like because it filled up the whole house with like hot, and it wasn't just
kept
like
it running.
No, well, only
Hot
for he
goat
wanted.
smoke.
He had no clean laundry. He had nothing with
I
him.
opened up all the windows. I thought,
laundry.
And he needed to clean the pillowcase he packed it in so he could sleep on it.
this was a SAG low budget movie. We weren't, we weren't being paid where I'm getting dry cleaning.
Right. But it was like there was no airflow. There wasn't anything. We were just because we shut everything down. We went in low power mode. We were just like, no, let's run silent.
Wait.
And let's not tempt fate.
I just want to know, did it levitate with the bottom still facing down, or did it move,
or did it jump off the counter?
It was so slow.
Oh my god!
That it was as if someone picked it up, carried it, and dropped it at my feet. That's the only way I can describe it. A gust of wind moves something quickly. It blows, something moves, it falls to the ground. This was like a balloon.
And the shape of the bag would change if it was hit by any sort of gust of wind.
No, this was a buoyant bag, as if the ghost was saying, I absolutely can manipulate.
And
paper or plastic? What are we talking about?
You both saw this?
Okay.
It was like a heavy, like a Ralph's bag, though. It was not something like you couldn't blow it and it wouldn't go across the room. It might fall on the ground.
I saw it land because CJ went, okay, what the hell is that?
Yeah. And I'm looking for fishing wire. I don't know what you've rigged before I got there. Yeah. I'm fully still wanting to believe that it's Matt messing with me. To this day, I wish to God I could believe that.
It wasn't, because I had one prank that failed.
Which happened, unfortunately, right after this.
Yes.
He had preset this up.
So you did have a prank.
I had one prank in my pocket.
And this was going to happen, I think, regardless. And it would have worked probably okay if all this shit hadn't happened. But it worked a lot better because that. So anyway, this bag, the next thing I remember is I'm packing not as a joke. I'm packing as I'm getting in the car and I'm going to go somewhere else. I don't know where. I don't give a shit. I'll pay for it. And at that moment, I hear a little girl laughing.
Ugh.
Real scary like.
Yeah.
And Matt at this point now is acting, so I can sort of tell it was him. A little different than when he was really feeling it.
Yeah.
But no, for a second, I thought, okay, now ghosts are real. It's here. They talk. It's gonna drag me to hell. Whatever it is. And I mean, it feels like half an hour it's going on. It's probably 8 seconds. Finally, Matt kind of is laughing. I think because I was like, is Rachel here? Like, who?
You thought it was Rachel.
I thought it was your girlfriend. Like,
he thought my girlfriend, my fiance now, snuck into the cabin and had been puppet mastering all of this shit. But this is how
much I don't believe in ghosts. So that's where I was before. That I would first believe it was a person. That
it was a Bluetooth speaker in my room, and I had sourced a bunch of sound effect tracks on Spotify and found a really creepy little nightmare child laugh.
Oh, no way.
And I was like, I'm going to put the Bluetooth speaker on and I'm just going to wait it out. And then it got to the point where we were both at such a crazed state that I was like, okay, I'll do my little bit. It'll scare the shit out of him. And then we'll laugh and go to bed and the tension will break.
And it just made it worse.
Yeah, all it did was make him angry.
And I've had probably 3 MGDs at this point. I feel nothing. Not even the slightest qualm of a hint of a buzz. Nothing at all.
And then he became convinced that it was Rachel. And I was like, she's not
looking
here.
For her.
I was like, there's no car. How did she get? What are you talking about? Why would I keep her stuffed away in one of these terrible spaces?
Right.
It was. I'm showing you the Bluetooth speaker. I'm sorry. It was a bad bit.
But then Matt said to me something along the lines of, just so you know, though, everything else was real. So this was me, but we still got to go. So at this, but by now it's late. We got to get up and go to work. There's nowhere to go at this point. We're trying to stick it out. So he's like, all right, well, we're just going to go to bed. Now, because what happened while I was sleeping was a little weird, but obviously Matt wasn't in my dreams. So I'll get to that in a second. But he did, you can find this, I think, still on your Instagram, if I'm not mistaken.
I have
There's
it.
a video.
I have it here.
Do you have it?
You want me to try to play the audio?
I mean,
yeah, sure. Just hold up to your mic.
Yeah, let's go there because
child-sized closets with they all have padlocks on them. But if you shine your light through the padlock, you can see weird shit, blankets covering shit. I don't know what's in there. I was standing in the kitchen and a bag. I don't like this. I don't want to talk about this. A bag from behind where the Keurig is lifted up in the air, floated over to me, and landed on my feet. And I thought it was Matt's doing, and then he said, I'm over here on the chair. How could I have done that? And I said, I don't know.
And there's no airflow in here.
Don't scare her with this, because I really feel like...
I'm not just talking about facts, man. Facts.
Keep in mind...
Also, where are you
Do you
sleeping?
see where I am?
Tell me about your bedroom.
I have a bedroom up there. I won't go up there. I made a bed out of the futon.
In the living room?
I would rather sleep outside with the Sasquatch than being here with the fucking...
He's in a pile of his own blankets on a bad cabin futon.
Yeah,
grabbing his own face
and
the whole time.
I remember I had to put the lights on to go to sleep. But at this point, Matt's taking this video, and you can go to his Instagram and watch it, because hearing it's one thing. I hear actual fear in my voice. Like, I'm trying to be funny, very clearly trying desperately to be funny, and can't do it because I'm too scared. In the middle of that video, when I say, there's a certain word I say where I mention, I'm alluding to the fact that I'm worried there's an entity or something in here, and a freaking orb shoots across the screen.
Oh, really?
Which then I'm thinking, I literally Googled, I'm like, are there After Effects programs where you can put, because it's Matt. We already have established this is what he likes to do to people. His friends and family, no less, not strangers. So I can't find any. I mean, unless he went into iMovie and...
I have an app where you can edit with your mind on the fly. You can just drop orbs and scary sounds on the fly just by thinking of it. It's in development. I have the beta. But it's fun.
It's only $30.
The ghost or whatever they're called, I don't, whatever it is, if it exists, it is on that Instagram video.
I'm gonna go check that out.
So when we go, so we go to, and when I say sleep, I probably got 5 minutes of sleep that night. If that, I have the TV on. I think I even slept with like the lights on in the room.
You did.
I had the worst, and I've only had this maybe a few times, like sleep paralysis, where this old woman is crawling all over my body, and it felt like it went on for 2 days.
Oh, a succubus.
And I would wake up, and it would be 5 minutes went by. And I was like, okay, this, I can't, I'm like, I would pace a little walk around. And this, every time I laid down, this nightmare would happen again.
And I went and I slept in the bedroom on the hospice bed with all
those
the machines.
Mirrors. And by the way, a couple pictures. I forgot there were also pictures of people, which you never want in an Airbnb. Like,
yeah.
It was
scary.
And they could have been all related. They could have just been victims. I don't know what. Just pictures of people.
We'll know eventually when the documentary comes out.
Yeah.
But I laid on this stiff bed. Like it was meant to like get people where they need to be, and for whatever needs to happen with nurses and stuff. And I closed the door to the bedroom because I was like, I'm just gonna pretend like it's a normal place, and I'm just gonna go to bed. It was the darkest room I've ever been in, like complete darkness. And I had a great night's sleep. I didn't move. Like I woke up in the same exact position I laid down in, and it was like I hadn't been there.
Were you scared?
I was so scared when I went to bed. And I laid down, I was like, I'm just going to go to bed. And for whatever reason, it was like a switch flipped and I was out. And then I woke up. And I think it was whoever was crawling on CJ just like put me down and was like, if you're going to be in my bed, I have to go get the other one. And I think it was just like, boom. And my whole system shut down. Great night's sleep.
Stay here.
And then I woke up and he's in the morning like, I don't know what's going on. They're crawling all over me. And he's yelling and he's like packing his things again.
Packed up. And I said, we're going to, when we go to work today, we are telling them we're moving. And Matt didn't say like, no, come on. He was like, of course we are. He was just on board. Like we're not staying here.
Well, because here's what else happened. While we were getting ready in the morning, the nightmare pipes kept screaming at us, but then also the water in the shower came all the way up.
Yeah.
Like we were trying to take a bath.
And it wasn't the color that water ought to be.
No.
Oh,
it was dark gray and black and like viscous.
Oh, man.
Like Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah.
But gray and black and scary.
No.
And I was just like, there's a lot.
I've made lighter coffee than the water that was in the tub.
It was, and that was my final thing, because I was like, I don't trust myself because I'm scared of everything, but I will not stand in septic water every morning for 2 weeks.
No, hell no.
Demonic or otherwise. And then luckily CJ got on the phone and he called everybody and all the producers of this like ultra low budget indie, which is available now. It's available now.
Should we plug it now?
Apple.
Plug it right
Amazon
after dirty bath water.
Yeah, it's great. And you'll love it. But
truly,
he got
Film
on phone,
Fest.
and then they found us another spot. And when we went to the new Airbnb, we walked in there and we were like, "Oh,
see, that's
that
the other
other
thing
place
that made
felt
me
awful."
Right.
And it was like I didn't realize it until we got to the place that didn't feel that way.
Right.
And then I was like, yeah, this is how houses are supposed to feel.
Right.
This is what this is supposed to feel like. And then that's what really
it
scared
lent
me.
more credence to it. It's like I've never felt the way I felt in that other house before or since.
You know,
in my
it's-
lifetime.
Paranormal researchers are like dying for new blood. They're probably wondering where the hell and how the hell they can get to this house and do like a
Dude,
do a
I bet you we
seance
drive
there.
up there and it's not there.
Yeah, it never existed in the first place.
It collapsed
100%.
into itself. After
We go,
you
there
guys
was
drove away.
a house here, and there's one old guy sitting there. How? Oh, there hadn't been a house here since 1972. One of
But
those guys.
there's deep scratches in the driveway from the hospice bed.
Oh.
And that's the only sign.
I don't think we missed any of that. I remember so many more details of that night than I would like to.
Sounds awful. I mean, honestly it does. I would not enjoy spending a moment there.
It was bad, and I hate that stuff. So
Oh,
I
it does not
thought
work
it was
for me.
me. And CJ and I are both crazy, so I thought it was us. So
Right.
I was just like, I was kind of trying to brush it off as best I could, because I knew I would never sleep again if I bought into any of it at the time.
Or
But
what
then
they
the
tell
next-
you about how that shit can follow you like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's called a
didn't, you know.
hitchhiker.
Right.
Ooh,
Well,
I hate that idea.
So far, so far, so good.
Ugh, that just gave me the chills.
And it's been a while.
Yeah. Well, we're keeping
Yeah,
our
you're good
fingers
now.
crossed. Unfortunately, we have to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap up the chat about this house. We're going to play a little game, and then it's time for this week's story of high strangeness. And we're back with CJ Vana, Matt Cook. We just talked about the haunted house that almost destroyed their lives forever. Probably broke your sanity.
What was left of it wasn't much there at the time.
Did you have any history of this house? Because I feel like if they put this on Airbnb and advertise it as a haunted house, then they'd probably make more money.
You're absolutely. That's such a good idea, and we
They
should have
probably
commission
would.
on that for what we went through.
Oh, yeah, I don't like it, especially that stinky suey water.
Yeah, I mean,
No, thank
but that ghost. Even if there were no ghost, that would be enough to leave a house.
Well, and it's also weird. The thing I thought too was like it was almost as if it was listening to your thing where you were like, we could just say it had bad plumbing, right? And then it performed the bad plumbing for you.
I'll show you bad plumbing.
Right?
I
Yeah,
feel like
I don't
this
want
is-
you here either.
I feel like this is so Scooby Doo. Like Matt and CJ
Yeah.
are Scooby and Shaggy, while and everyone else gets the good rooms, and they're totally stuck in the haunted cabin. It's just so. I just imagine everybody else. Oh,
Is
just the
someone making
best
tea? Is
Is
energy.
that pipes?
someone-
Are those
It's the
pipes?
pipes.
Is
The
that
pipes
pipe
are
fire?
screaming.
No, really.
Those
Matt,
are my
come on.
pipes. No, I didn't do that. Your pipes, they're screaming.
Jesus, come
Talk
on.
about timing.
Look
Oh
at the
my God.
waveform. I want to know whose
we
waveform
gotta-
is doing that.
I'll get to the
That was
bottom
my
of that.
Was it me?
I only see blood.
Because if this
All
shit,
the waveforms are dripping blood.
No, that's normal. That's just Zencaster.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
I
that.
gotta say, I'm a little curious, and I'm gonna go back and listen to more episodes. Because to me, this story scares me still because
Yeah.
it was our story. So, but I don't know. Like, is that a typical ghost story? Do people see worse, less, more? I don't really know where that falls because to me, it's horrifying. People could be listening to this like, who gives a shit?
You're our first floating or thrown object, I think.
Well, we've had Spider-1 had keys that moved on the
Spider-1.
road.
Oh, God, yes. Yeah, that's right.
Heather
that's
Ann
right.
Campbell and her girlfriend saw a shadow entity standing behind their door that then stepped out from the door and pointed at them and vanished.
Oh, no.
That one still gives me bad
Yeah,
thoughts.
there's been some creepy ones.
You guys had some good activity here, and I think the your instincts telling you that there was bad energy in this place, coupled with all the weird spooky stuff you guys found, and the bag, and the screaming pipes.
It's the only time I ever felt, people in like scary movies, it's like that, half the time it's just some get out, like whatever that thing. But that's a feeling. I mean, you don't have to hear it. You feel like that house doesn't want you in it.
Right.
It's mostly a feeling. Yeah, that's why they're there.
The only time in my life that I've experienced the idea of this place that I am wants me not in it.
Well, and the sleep paralysis stuff with the woman crawling all over you, that's not good either. That was horrible. Some bad stuff in there.
Well, and how Matt was just laid out too, like, asleep, woke up. Oh, that was great.
Weird. I feel like
and the weird thing
that happens in horror movies where like one person will be like, I slept like a baby, and the other person's like, you know what I mean? Like that's bizarre.
And I never sleep well. That's like
the other thing.
I never ever.
I often
especially
do.
when I'm scared. I never ever have a night like that.
Right.
Matt, I don't want this to be an insensitive suggestion, but maybe you get yourself a hospice bed.
Maybe
That
it might be good.
I only sleep on a hospice
obviously
bed.
used.
Yes.
Yeah.
You want the full effect.
Yeah.
We'll find a Craigslist link and we'll send it over to you.
Yeah, I just need a gear in my kidney.
Hey,
and
you know what we
conk
should
right
really
out.
do, though? We should find out, and there's a way to find out. I know we can find out what the address is of this place. Because if anyone, I mean...
You want to dox these
It would be a
ghosts?
fun thing to know.
In this Airbnb. Yeah.
Because you know what would be great? I mean, listen, I don't want to get too crazy here, but I'd be curious if there's a way to get in touch with anyone else who stayed there. I would love to talk to them. Can we go to the phones?
enough.
Do you guys have phones? Do they still do that?
CJ, you
Do they
want a
have phones?
support group? We'll figure that out for you.
All right.
All right, boys. We now know that CJ believes in ghosts, but we're going to find out what else you guys believe in. I'm going to go down a rapid fire list of phenomena. If you're open to it, you say believe it. If you're not open to it, you're going to say bullshit. And if you're somewhere in between, you still have to come down on one side of the fence, okay?
Yeah.
Awesome.
This is a game that we like to call bullshit
Or believe it.
Matt, CJ, on your mark, get set, ghosts,
Believe it.
UFOs,
Believe
Believe
it.
Bigfoot,
Bullshit.
ESP,
Believe it. Believe it.
shadow people.
Oh, believe it, but I don't want to.
Are they ghosts?
What does that mean? Is that the shadow person from the door? We don't have
Wait,
time
do they
for
have
questions.
hats on?
Believe
My
it.
dad told me something about a guy with a hat
Yes,
when he was a
they
kid.
have
A lot
hats
of
on
times,
sometimes,
yeah, hats.
sometimes,
Okay.
yeah. Hats are
Shit,
common.
I fucking believe it then. God damn it.
Unicorns.
I
Bullshit.
believe it.
Sorry
Alien-
for going pff then before.
Alien abductions.
Oh,
Ooh, that's a close one. 99% bullshit.
Yeti. Oh,
I
shit.
believe it. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeti?
Yeti. Sorry, I stepped on you.
No, believe it.
Bullshit.
Mothman.
Bullshit.
Bullshit.
Out of body experiences.
Believe it.
Believe it.
Tarot cards.
Bullshit.
Ooh, believe it.
Demonically possessed dolls.
Oh, God.
Bullshit.
Bullshit, please.
The healing power of crystals.
Bullshit.
Believe it.
An alien spacecraft crashed at Roswell.
I think it was a probe.
Bullshit.
I'll say believe it because I think a probe counts.
Loch Ness Monster.
I wish, but bullshit.
Yeah, bullshit.
Atlantis.
Ooh.
I mean, they found something. I don't think mermaids live there, but wow, I'm supposed to only say bullshit or believe it. I'm fucking up the rules. Bullshit
our
in
own
the
podcast.
sense that
It's hard.
Bullshit in the sense that what?
bullshit in the sense that there's no mermaids there. It was just a place.
Right.
Nobody said there were mermaids there.
Well, isn't there some? I mean, isn't that the thing? It's an underwater city. There's Mermaids? Isn't
Stop
that
working your mermaid agenda. We talked about this.
I'll say this.
That's not what this is for.
I'll say this. Atlantis comes with a lot of new age weirdo woo-woo baggage. So, mermaids might, in DC Comics and Marvel, yes, mermaids. But, some people think that there was like a race of all-powerful, tall beings there before.
The ancient alien version of Atlantis.
Yeah,
very familiar. Mostly
right.
bullshit.
Haunted houses.
Believe it.
Believe it now.
Skunk ape.
What's that?
Oh, boy. You just unlocked a secret game. Bryce, get ready. The Jersey Devil.
Believe it.
I mean, I'm not from there like Matt is, but I'm going to say bullshit.
I saw his birthplace.
The Biblical Devil.
I think Matt's the Jersey Devil.
Oh, the Biblical Devil. I'm going to... Ooh, God forgive me. Bullshit.
I got to say bullshit. I listened to a lot of AC/DC growing up. Nothing bad happened to me.
Speaking to the dead.
Believe it.
Mermaids.
Bullshit.
The government is hiding the truth about Sasquatch.
Bullshit.
Past lives.
Believe it.
Anything's possible.
Life on other planets.
Believe
100% fact.
Life after death.
Believe it.
Oh, nice job, guys.
Well
real
done.
quick,
Well
gonna circle
done.
back. You guys came down hard on Believe It with out-of-body experiences, I noticed.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if,
I don't know.
you almost said as if you had experienced it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder why, because I can't think of... I haven't experienced one.
Fair enough.
I don't know. I've just had like moments where I know, or not where I know, but where I feel different.
I've been
like
pretty
I just feel like it can
wasted,
go further.
which I think is close.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have any firsthand experience with it in any way that I can identify accurately, but
Right,
I
but
don't
it's
know,
close,
it just feels like
I don't seem like I'm in there at some point.
Right.
It's not really paranormal.
Right now. You don't seem like you're here.
Having an out-of-body experience right now.
Well, guys, you're not
gonna
quite
cut
out
this
of this game yet because you unlocked a secret game within the game called 60 Seconds to Sell Skunk Ape. Because you questioned what Skunk Ape was, Bryce has 1 minute to tell you what it is and get you to believe in it. Are you ready, Bryce? It's been a while.
I think so. Yeah,
All
it's
right.
been a while.
I'm going to start the clock. On your mark, get set, sell Skunk Ape.
Okay, so basically, Skunk Ape is like Florida's Bigfoot, right? I mean, it takes place in the Everglades.
Believe it.
Great.
Yes, sold.
Record time.
You didn't mention Florida.
But keep going. You keep going. I'm sorry.
No, I shouldn't have to. That was great. Okay, if you have a Google search bar next to you, just type in the words Myakka Skunk Ape. Myakka is spelled Myakka Skunk Ape. There should be 2 photos that come up. An old lady took these photos. She said something was stealing her apples in her backyard. She went out there at night and flashed 2 photos. If it wasn't for the flash, she would have barely been able to see the creature, but you can actually see it sort of standing up, and you can see the eye shine in the eyes. Are you guys there? Yeah. So this is 2 of the better photos taken of what could be a skunk ape, but people have been reporting a large bipedal creature hanging out in the swamps of the Everglades for as far back as 200 years or more. Florida skunk ape.
Pencils down.
Pencils down, everybody.
Oh, you know what? That's my cousin. That's actually he's just one of my Italian cousins.
That's like
a lot of them go down to Florida
of the scary peeper.
Yes,
boys.
I believe the story more than the pictures.
One picture looks pretty good.
He looks like Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
he looks like my cousin Peter Guglielmi. I don't know what you're talking about. He looks exactly like him. Shouldn't have used his real name.
You can see the fangs and
Bryce, you're done. Bryce, you have no more time to sell Skunk Ape.
Right,
I gotta know, boys. Are you buying?
Yes.
Great.
I'm going to just say yes based on... Yeah.
Great. Wow. Thank you, fellas.
Well, good job, Bryce.
Congratulations, Bryce.
I needed that.
Congratulations. It's been a while.
You
since
needed a
sold
W.
your
I
I needed a
Skunk
win
Ape.
for that one.
What was he stealing? What was he stealing from the old woman?
Apples. Oh, he loved apples.
That's kind of honestly the part that I believe the most.
Yeah.
This isn't some Apple scam.
Right.
Apples are like, what are they, 25 cents?
Yeah.
And look at that mouth. That's an apple chomping mouth. You can eat
His
him
mouth
whole.
was made for apples. That's just one little chomp. All right, boys, sit back. It's story time because it's time for this week's tale of high strangeness. My co-host Bryce, are you prepared with your lines for this week's episode?
Yeah, I've got them right here. Yep.
Fantastic. Then let's get right into it. I think both of you are really going to like this one. In the canon of high strangeness, the story I'm about to share is surely one of the strangest. I noticed it making the rounds last year online, so if you're listening to this right now, you may have heard this one before. But for those of you who haven't, you're in for a real treat. This is the story of Sam the Sandown Clown. The curious case of Sam the Sandown Clown, or perhaps more accurately, Sam the Wooden Alien Robot Ghost Clown,
There you go.
occurred in the early 1970s in Sandown on the Isle of Wight, an island just off the southern coast of England, southeast of London. This story was originally published in the January-February 1978 issue of Bufora journal, Bufora standing for British UFO Research Association.
That's a good journal.
Bufora journal. It seems like it should be about vampires. And due to the pure weirdness of this incident, the names of the people involved have been changed to protect their identities by the article's original author, Norman Oliver. Sidebar, I'm going to include a link to the PDF of this issue in the show notes, so you guys listening should check it out. It's very cool. The encounter with Sam took place in 1973, but we're going to begin the story in 1970. That's when a man called Mr. Y began noticing strange lights in the skies above the Isle of Wight. According to Mr. Y, on Tuesday, October 20th, 1970, he was on his way to a friend's house. He just passed through the town of Brading when he noticed an enormous craft quietly hovering over the marshes of Bembridge Downs. The craft was encapsulated by a ring of 7 or 8 perfectly spherical lights, each of which Mr. Y described looking like
a bright red cherry.
The craft also flashed white and turquoise lights, and it flew parallel to Mr. Y's car as he headed towards the hamlet of St. Helen. Once he'd driven through the village, the craft dropped low to the ground and passed behind Mr. Y's car at a distance of about 300 meters, flitting above the trees and hedgerows. Mr. Y, at one point, got out of his car and signaled it with his flashlight as the craft weaved silently back and forth above the countryside. Upon arriving at his friend's house, the craft was still watching Mr. Y. His friend walked out and noticed that it seemed to be playing hide-and-seek behind the tree line. As Mr. Y drove home, the cherry red lights faded from view. On numerous occasions over the next 2 or 3 years, Mr. Y would continue to see balls of red lights occasionally dancing in the night sky. Then, on March of 1972, Mr. Y had another close encounter. This time, however, the craft was not in the sky, but submerged in the ocean waters of Compton Bay. Mr. Y made out 2 bright lights just beneath the surface that he described as
glowing yellow eyes.
Mr. Y observed the submerged, droning object until it faded from view beneath the tide. Now, Mr. Y had a daughter called Faye in this story, and according to this report, he had not told his little girl of the strange lights he'd been observing for the past few years. Maybe they are unconnected to what came next, but it's certainly worth noting. On one Tuesday afternoon in May of 1973, around 4 o'clock, Faye and a friend, a boy, were near Lake Common, Sandown, when they heard a loud, wailing noise that sounded like the scream of an ambulance siren. Or maybe some pipes in your guys' Airbnb. CJ, you want to give us that sound again?
Horrifying.
It's weird how I have that so ready to go.
It is.
The kids followed the noise across a golf course, heading towards the abandoned Sandown Airport. As they walked along a wooden bridge that crossed a narrow stream, they looked down to see a 3-fingered, blue-gloved hand grip the edge of the bridge. A strange-looking figure emerged from beneath them and fumbled about in the water, dropping a book, then collecting himself. And whether it was a he or a she or non-binary, we don't really know. But it retreated into a metallic-looking windowless hut nearby, moving at an odd high-kneed hop along the way. Moments later, the entity emerged from the hut, carrying what appeared to be a black microphone attached to a portable speaker.
Weird.
It proceeded to blare the strange wail. CJ, that's your cue to jump back in. You got to jump back in with that wail.
Sorry, it's tough to get it out.
I think you need to let it all out tonight.
This is going to be healing for you.
Yeah, this turned into therapy. It was
My
the
neighbors
same.
just called the cops.
Yeah, it's the same whale that attracted Faye and the boy in the first place. Now, Faye's friend got scared, and the kids turned around to leave. And when they were about 50 meters away, they heard the wailing sirens stop, and the figure spoke through the microphone speaker.
Are you still there?
Despite the odd, creepy manner of the strange figure, the voice was friendly, shy even. The kids slowly approached the being to take in his countenance. He was about 7 feet tall, with no neck, his large, strange, spherical head fused to his shoulders. Its face, if you could call it that, had painted-on looking features, triangular markings for eyes, a square brown nose, paper-white cheeks, and yellow lips that were frozen in the shape of a mouth, but didn't move while speaking. The being wore a pointed cone-shaped hat like that of a circus clown. At the apex, where the pom-pom would be, was a round black ball, out of which 2 tiny wooden antennae sprouted. Beneath the hat, spits of stringy reddish-brown hair tumbled out. Its clothing was in near tatters. It wore a clownish, puffed-colored shirt, and the kids could see wooden slats protruding from his sleeves and white trousers. It had 3 fingers on each hand, encased in blue gloves, and its feet were bare, bright white, with 3 toes on each. It held up a notebook, which it wrote, "Hello, I am all colors Sam." The being could not seem to speak without using the microphone. His mouth didn't seem to function properly on its own, so apparently the notebook was an additional form of communication. They asked about his torn clothing, and Sam informed them that they were the only clothes he had. And they noted Sam's bright white skin and asked if he were a man. Sam's response, blaring through the microphone, was,
No.
They asked if he was a ghost. He curiously answered,
Well, not really. But I am, in an odd sort of way.
The kids pressed him again. Well, what are you? Sam simply answered,
You know.
Sam then invited the kids into his hut.
No, man.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, stranger danger, everybody. They crawled through a flap, and once inside, they could see it was split into 2 levels. The first floor tall enough for the 7-foot being, with the second floor more of a cramped loft. The floor was metallic, and the wall was covered with seafoam green wallpaper and lined with multiple dials arranged in patterns.
That's what would have happened if you guys went into one of those small little rooms. It would have looked exactly like that.
That's where
So,
Sam was.
So far, this just sounds like any night out at any bar in Van Nuys. You can meet a guy exactly like this.
There was a small space heater and some wooden furniture present, and the peculiar host took off his pointed hat, exposing round white ears and his thin, stringy, reddish-brown hair. He told the kids there were others like him and drew an example of his kind on his notebook. He said he had a camp on the mainland where he could visit, and he could drink the water from the nearby river after filtering it. Sam told the children he was afraid of people, worried that they might attack him, and that he would not fight back. Then, Sam performed a strange trick. He produced a berry and placed it into his ear. The kids watched as Sam bobbed his head, and the berry appeared behind one of his triangular eyes, as if appearing through a window. He bobbed his head again, and the berry fell out of his head and into his mouth. Apparently, the children chatted with Sam for a half hour before it was time to go home. As they rushed back to civilization, they stopped and told the first person they saw that they'd met a ghost. Of course, the stranger simply laughed at the overactive imagination of two wandering schoolchildren. It wasn't until a few weeks later, in June of 1973, that Faye told her father, Mr. Y, what she and the boy had encountered. At first, Mr. Y thought she was just making up a fairy tale, but he marveled at the level of details in the story, and Faye, for her part, insisted that everything that happened was true. Recalling the strange lights he'd been seeing in the area for years, Mr. Y told Bufora,
I get the impression that Faye was somehow taken into a bubble of alien reality created by this strange personage. He told them he had just made the hut. Also, Faye told me that while they were talking to this ghost, two workmen nearby were repairing a post. They paid no attention to the weird charade, as though they could not see it.
And that, Matt and CJ, is the strange story of Sam the Sandown Clown.
I hated that. that if I ever have children and they tell me they followed a sound across a moor, I'll get rid of them.
Yeah, I mean, don't buy property near a moor. Everybody knows that.
Well, I want to. I would love it, except for the banshee coming back. But
Right.
that's so odd, and so there's that like sadness in that.
Yeah.
That really messes me up.
Yeah,
that's the stuff that gets me.
It's like they encountered a character from The Wizard of Oz. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Well, I want to hear what your take on this is. What the hell do you think this was? Assuming that the kids are telling the truth, what do you think they encountered?
I mean, I would say a creature from another dimension.
Wow.
Or
nice.
like some kind of crazy altered thing. But I know CJ, I can hear him holding his breath, waiting to punch me with his words. That freaked me out. I didn't like it.
I'm sorry.
I don't know what he is. No, I mean, I love it, but I don't. But I don't. When I say I didn't like it, it's not like why did you say that to me? It's I believe that something happened there.
It's a weird one.
Why did he have a book in the water?
I don't know.
I don't like. The microphone is strange. Like, there's enough things about the description and the fact that it's children.
Looks like he had wooden arms and legs, the three fingers, the white ears and the white feet, like chalk white feet with three toes. It's very strange. The weird.
This is why This is why they call these stories of high strangeness, because there's just so many oddities outside normal classification that people just sort of raise their hands and go, scratch their heads, because it doesn't fit into the UFO box. It doesn't fit into the ghost box. It's just sort of hits all these markers of somewhere in between. And that's why John Keel, I think you're really close, Matt, as to some sort of interdimensional. John Keel called them ultra terrestrials, that they were somehow inhabited and came from this earth, this planet, but most normally they were outside of the visible the visible or auditory spectrum. But sometimes the very select few would be able to tune into those frequencies and be able to experience that just high strangeness.
Oof.
I have a feeling that after my assessment, I'll be asked to be made a co-host. That's how confident I am in this angle.
No.
Okay.
But I do. You know what struck me immediately when the source is kids. Kids describe things the way that they can compare. Like, they're going to say, he's holding a microphone, he's holding a book. Maybe that's not what these things are. That's what they appear to be to a child.
Mm-hmm.
The closest thing they can think of. It appeared like it was it looked like a hat, a pointy birthday hat. Maybe kids, when they see a pointy hat, they think it's a birthday hat, but they're seeing stuff. It makes me think of the Ancient Alien thing where it's like misunderstood technology. I'm leaning Alien, and this is just high-tech stuff that a child views as what they see it as, what they're used to.
And the kids were, I think, about around 7 years old at the time. I think I mentioned that. If not, it's in my notes. So they're still young enough, but old enough to like be able to take in some details and communicate what they saw, which is interesting.
I think the responses are so strangely flat that freaks me out, because I feel like if the kids were making it up, there'd be more detailed responses.
They said that if the thing tried to talk without its microphone, he would sound like...
Oh, I hate that.
And then he would hold the microphone up to his mouth, and he'd be like, hello, hi, how are you? Like this really
alien
bizarre
translation device.
So strange.
You know that response when they asked, okay, well, what are you? And it said, that sounds like how something would answer from a Ouija board. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like just sort of slyly dodging the question, and but yet answering it at the same time. How weird is that he sees this sort of craft following his car? I mean, how many of these strange experiences start with some light seen out of the sky that sort of comes down, descends, and follows some lone car on a highway? It's just, it's insane.
And the other thing that's weird about it too is he describes those bright red balls of light that he says are, like bright cherries, but that also makes me think of clown noses.
Absolutely.
So there's like a connection between the clownish nature of this thing and the lights in the sky.
Yeah.
Right.
Dude.
Which again, think of a child has a certain interpretation, a certain connection with what a clown is to them. Mm-hmm. That might be in the, you see red ball nose ear thing, you're going clown. I mean, it could easily be alien robot.
But here's what I'm going to leapfrog off that idea there, CJ. I'm going to put this, I want to ask you this, but what if, because think about, clowns in England in the early 70s, pretty creepy looking, I'm going to guess. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
So let me ask you this. What if whatever this entity is using the children's psyche to help manifest itself? And so it's appearing as if it is a character out of some amalgamation of a children's book character.
Sure. Like the Contact thing.
Right, exactly.
Appear what would make them most comfortable.
See, I got to tell you, Bryson Riley, when I start saying this kind of shit, the hairs on my arms and legs start standing up.
Yeah, man. That's weird stuff.
That's the thing that I think, like, it's using the brains, it's using the thoughts of the kids to make itself appear. And think about toy microphones with speakers, like Fisher Price stuff that would have probably been around that time. I don't know.
It's just all those colors. Those like bright, like primary colors too, which are like all of his descriptive colors are blue, red, and yellow.
Yeah, the yellow.
It's like those basic things that are in everything that we see.
I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it that way.
How oftentimes we think like, especially in movies, like, we come across an alien species and the next thing you know, we're communicating with them, right? I say bullshit, right? It's like, who knows how some sort of other entity, other intelligence would be able to communicate with us. And it would probably come off wobbly bobbly like this thing did,
Absolutely.
Or how we'd be able to receive it.
That's exactly right. So it's a communication, it's a parlay between two consciousness, and it just ends up being wonky,
Yeah. It's the best translation possible. It's when a human talks to a dog, we go, they understand. They don't really understand.
Right.
They're getting tone and sort of
My dogs understand.
All right. I'll tell you, I relate to the creature in one sense, which is I wish I had more of a neck, to be completely honest. The no neck thing, I feel him in that regard.
Are your eyes triangles? Can you eat berries through your ear?
No, I don't think I could. I mean, I could stick something in there, but I don't think...
Try it. Anybody listening, hop over to Instagram Live, go to CJ Vana. Let's see this play out.
Yeah, this is a wild one. When I first read this last year, I was like, my first gut was like, I don't know, weird guy living under a bridge, maybe. And then the more I read it, I'm like, I think this was something just utterly bizarre.
Yeah.
The one thing that would sell me on is this true is what is the context of the children telling the story? Are the children telling the story because they missed school and somebody goes, why weren't you at school today? Because then it's bullshit.
Right.
And they go, a clown man came and I don't know, fuck you.
It was May. I think they were actually in a version of it that she was allegedly on vacation with her father, so they weren't in school at the time.
Weird stuff, man.
Well, let's get the father on the horn. Is he still alive?
We don't know who he is. Mr. Y.
Michael, what book was it that was like? Was it Grant Hancock's Supernatural that sort of left this idea that what came first, the clown or the you would see these concepts, these sort of clown archetypes in a lot of these
I think it is
altered states of consciousness type stories, and they almost predated the clown.
Gnomes and clowns, like things that people would see as sort of hallucinatory images, or like, if they're doing like ayahuasca and stuff, they'd see these painted
sleep paralysis too.
Sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
And then, that maybe the clown, the emergence of the clown in culture is actually drawing from this deep subconscious, entity, our connection with this, and it's part of this, whatever this supernatural force and how it manifests itself.
It certainly ties in with that trickster sort of element that
it does indeed. It's weird stuff. Weird.
I'll tell you this one thing I know for sure. I'm going back to church. After this, I'm gonna get back into that.
Probably a good idea.
One more saved here on the Bigfoot Collectors Club.
Doing the Lord's work. Isn't that what it's really all about?
Pretty much.
Matt Cook, CJ Vana, thank you so much for being on the show. Where can people find this movie you shot? Where can people find your stuff? Plug anything you need to at this moment, please.
Film Fest, it's available for streaming platforms. It's on Amazon and Apple and Google Play to rent or own. It's a really, really funny movie with so many funny people in it, and it was a blast to make, and CJ's in it too.
Amazing.
That's exactly. I don't have anything else to add.
That's the big one. That just came out, so it's really fun, and
we almost were sucked into hell for it, so watch it.
So please, come on, guys, make it worth it. Make it worth it.
Awesome.
See if you can pick out which day was the next day.
On our faces. Game. Just a fun
I think they cut that scene, and it was pivotal. They had no choice.
You were screaming the whole time.
You put us in a cabin with the pipes.
CJ just has bags under his eyes. Matt looks like fresh and glittery, just like I had the best sleep.
Yep.
Back's all straight.
Yeah.
Shoulders back.
It was wonderful.
And then are you guys on any of the social medias that people like these days still for some reason?
I'm on them, but there's nothing good on mine. You can follow it if you want. I don't know. It's just my name.
Well, we'll tag you in it.
You got to say it, CJ. Go ahead.
C.J.Vana on Instagram.
There you go.
And I think it's just CJ Vana without the dots on Twitter.
There you go.
Some fucking asshole thinks he's.
And I'm Matt on Instagram. I'm Matt Cook Took Pics, and then you can look Matt Cook, but it's me, a beautiful fitness model, and a knife maker. But the fitness model and the knife maker, they come up way before I do. So I'd say search my name if you're looking for some.
Tagged,
find that video. You can see the ghost that we discussed earlier.
And we'll see if we can't get that on, throw that up on our own Instagram when this episode drops. So we'll talk to you about that, Matt. Thank you so much, guys. Please follow me at McMills on Instagram, at Bigfoot Collectors Club on Instagram, Bigfoot Pod on Twitter. Bryce, Riley, plug your stuff.
I'll plug Grace's stuff.
There you go.
She's got a new song that just came out called Mango. It's streaming everywhere. So just wherever you get your music, Spotify, Apple Music, all that. It's a really great song. It's her first release as an independent artist after leaving her previous major label engagement. And it slaps. Check it out.
I love that song.
Cool. Let's end with that. That's great. Perfect.
And all right, great.
Sure you don't want to hear the pipes one more time? You don't want to go out on the pipes?
I don't have it.
I don't have it in me.
Give us the pipes.
But that was the
Good
last
night,
one
everybody.
I got.
Until next time, good night.
And go get request. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Bigfoot Collectors Club is produced by Riley Bray. Our theme song is Come Alone by Suneaters, courtesy of Lotuspool Records. If you like the show, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It really helps get the podcast to more listeners. To support the show, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/Bigfoot Collectors Club and unlock multiple reward episodes every month.